If you're settled in, join us. If you're not, it's okay. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my soul, in my heart. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful, wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I feel it in my body. I can feel it in my body, in my soul. I can feel it in my soul, in my heart. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. And it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Feel it in my body. I can feel it in my body. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart. It won't let go, and it won't let go. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful. Nicely done. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. And please welcome our guest artist, Carrie Hillary. We're going to move right into another sing-along, which we hope will have the words for you on the screen in a moment.
They're easy.
Yes, they are.
I let the love wash over me. That's pretty much it.
There they are.
I let the love wash over me.
Come on, stand up and join us.
I let the love wash over me. I let the love wash over me. I let the love wash over me. me. I let the truth wash over 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 me.
Grace.
I let the grace wash over me. 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 I let the joy 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 wash over me.
Love.
I let the love wash over me. 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 Here we go. I let the love wash over me. I let the love wash over me. I let the love wash over me.
Yes. Give yourself a hug. Thank you.
Are you guys ready to ramp it up? Okay, we've got our special guest today, Carrie, with us. Carrie, we're so happy to have you. And if you like her music today, she just happens to have CDs out on the patio, just in case. And Lisa and Tyler and Dan and Brian, thank you so much for being with us. You make such a difference to our service. My name is Linda Stevens, and it is my joy to be here with you today to help with this service. Now, if you would turn, let's welcome our neighbors at home. I hope you're in your slippers having your coffee, and we know you're here with us in spirit, and we're glad that you are. Thank you so much. And if you have one of those cell phones or buzzers or things that ding or buzz or ring, would you please turn it off? And I'll check mine when I get to my seat and make sure that I don't forget too. It's so easy, so easy. You know, I don't know if all of you saw, but Reverend Denise is back with us today. Yes! The 9 months we spent with her were so absolutely wonderful. She's a mother of 2 young men. She's a new grandmother and a wife to her husband of 36 years, Larry, who is a minister at Unity of Santa Barbara. So if you're ever down there, go by and say hello. Please join me again in welcoming Reverend Denise. It's so much fun to have her back. So much fun. Now, Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. And somebody said to me one time, you can't get it wrong, and you don't need to get it right, because that's what practice is. We practice every day something else that we learn, and that's why we're here on Sundays, to learn new things that we hadn't thought of, or old things that we hadn't remembered, and why we take classes here at Unity to help us along on our spiritual path. We have a mission here at Unity of Walnut Creek, and that is, in a loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. Amen. Thank you, Tyler. So now I invite you to affirm with me our statement of faith. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. So now I invite you to drop down into your heart, the place that you and Spirit meet as one. And let's affirm this once again. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. And now if there's someone here for the first time, and if you would like to, I encourage you to raise your hand and let us know that you're new today. And we have a very special gift for you. The ushers will come around with a welcome packet of information about Unity of Walnut Creek. And inside of it, there is a beautiful wooden necklace that's handmade by one of our congregants. And if you're willing to put that on today, then we'll know you're new. And I encourage everybody who's not new to seek them out. Tell them that good morning. Tell them that you're glad that they're here, because we really are, and we do hope you come back. And if you'll go out to our bookstore, we have another gift for you. Now, we'll all take a connection card. No, you take the connection card. If you're new, I skipped a spot. And take it to the bookstore where they have a gift for you. And if you didn't raise your hand, that's okay too, because you can still take that card out to the bookstore and get everything that we just talked about. So you don't have to raise your hand if you don't like. Now, everyone else, please fill out one of the connection cards so that we know that you're here today. And you can submit a prayer request, and one of our prayer chaplains will be praying with you throughout the week. You can also share feedback for us with those cards. And if you request information about some of the programs here or about anything, one of our staff will get back to you during the week. Be sure and leave us your phone number. And until you hear the gong, now stand up and please greet the neighbors around you.
Hello, my name is Mike. Authors Sunday is today in our bookstore and will feature Alexandra D'Avalon. And if you join her after the last service, there'll be a light lunch, conversation with the author, and special discounts. Next Sunday, Scott Grace will be here for our services and an afternoon workshop to help us let go of old beliefs and learn ways to use ease to be our compass and guiding light. He uses music and humor to create conscious comedy. And would you like to be part of making leadership decisions for your spiritual home as a member of our Board of Trustees? Please complete the nomination application found on the welcome table on the patio. And our volunteer appreciation picnic is on October 1st. This is the day we celebrate our many volunteers who have donated time this past year. It doesn't matter what you've done for us, it all counts. So join us for a fun and special afternoon. And if you'll come to the patio today, you can find out how you can be part of the Summer of Love, which is Unity's Out of Sight fall fundraiser. And now, Brother Javier has something to tell us.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Good morning. Good morning. I'm here to remind you that this coming Saturday is the Tacos del Sol Fiesta.
¿Tacos del Sol?
Sí,
Yo soy Sol.
you are the sun, yes.
Sí. ¿Dónde está Tacos del Sol?
Great question, Solecito. Tacos del Sol will be hosted in the multi-use room by your Unity men's group.
Oh,
We will be serving all-you-can-eat authentic tacos, which will include vegan and pescatarian for those of you that don't eat meat.
bueno.
Muy bueno, ¿que no? Yeah. Plus there will be awesome libations made by yours truly.
Ay, ay, ay.
Plus, we're going to have a live band named The Deacons playing while we're eating.
Ay, ay, ay.
Plus, we're going to have DJ Old School, Mr. Tyler Sorghum Phelps, the best DJ on the West Coast, bringing us down to, they say our cutoff's 10, but sometimes we might stretch that a little later. We also have discounted tickets for non-drinkers. So if you're a non-drinker but you want to come and eat with us and party with us, we have discounted tickets for that, and we have childcare. So there is no excuse. You can make it no matter what.
¿Cuándo es que Tacos del Sol?
Tacos del Sol, again, thank you, is next Saturday, 6 p.m. at the multi-use room. We will see you there.
Ay, ay.
So please take a close look at today's bulletin. It's chock full of valuable details on these and other activities. And check your email box for the September issue of Centerpoint. Now let's enjoy another song from Carrie.
It's my life to live, and it's my light to shine. The answers in my heart, the questions in my mind. Sometimes I feel lost and paralyzed with fear. It's time to open up until the path is clear. believe, if I only believe, if I only believe.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. So, good morning. So happy to be with you again and delighted to be here this Sunday. So, Brother Garrett is going to bring us the community prayer and the daily word this morning as our prayer chaplain.
I have to say it's wonderful to be back after a couple of months of traveling, and it's such a treat to have Reverend Denise back. I mention it partly because we don't always realize what a wonderful worldwide community we have among Unity churches. And during my travels, I was able to go to Santa Barbara and see another wonderful Unity church, very much like our own in many ways, but every church has its unique quality and gifts. So I really do encourage everyone to visit. You'll see what a wonderful welcome every church seems to give in the Unity community. Our reading today, the community prayer, has a theme to match today of non-resistance, which of course brings to mind Jesus and Gandhi perhaps. And the theme is inspired by Spirit, I am open and receptive to life. I prepare myself for a life of non-resistance and acceptance, with meditation and prayer. In conscious union with Spirit, I know that nothing can threaten my inner sense of well-being. With an attitude of acceptance rather than resistance, I express the qualities of openness and consideration that are the natural state of my being. Because I am willing to accept circumstances as they are and meet life's challenges with an attitude of non-resistance, I have energy to devote to constructive methods of succeeding. I accomplish what it is mine to do in cooperation with others. And our Bible quote today is from Matthew 5:38. This is, of course, Jesus speaking. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist.
Beautiful. So join me as we enter into a meditation, as we open up ourselves through this song.
Live
living me. God is all there is, and I am one with God. So join me now as we journey inwardly, truly knowing that God is all there is, and I am one with this infinite presence of all life. In this holy and sacred moment, I align my thoughts with the divine. Allow myself now to enter into this connection and communion with the one presence and one power, God the Good. So take that holy breath, becoming fully present and aware of where we are in this now present state. One with the power of divine peace. I am the very presence of peace in my world. My thoughts, my words, and my actions are in harmony, so that I project peace from the inside out. I am clear that peace is not a smiley face mask I wear, but a calm, confident generosity of spirit, released from within. I am the power of peace expressed in my thoughts, releasing thoughts that separate or denigrate. I raise my consciousness to the God standard of oneness. I bring about peace through every thought. I am the power of peace expressed in my words. My words heal and harmonize, uplift and appreciate, powerfully, peacefully. I speak to right wrongs and to improve conditions. I bring about peace through my words. I am the power of peace expressed in my actions. Boldly, I walk a path of peace, guided by an inner wisdom. All that I do fosters mutual blessings. I bring about peace through my actions. Peace is in the midst of me as I become the presence of peace in the midst of every circumstance. So take that holy breath. And as we anchor the awareness of love's presence here and now, in this holy, safe, and sacred place, let us enter into the silence, listening to the still small voice within. And so we thank you, beloved presence, for allowing your peace that passes understanding to be a realization in us. We move throughout this service knowing that I am the presence of peace in the midst of every circumstance. I am the presence of peace in the midst of every circumstance. And for that we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Things will come, just let it flow. I see the light that won't be dimmed by your tears, and I'll stand by you through your darkest of fears. Get you moving when you're grinding your gears. Though it's hard to believe, you just let things go. All good things will come. Just let it flow, let it flow from deep in your heart. There's a new start every day. Just believe and follow your heart straight, 'cause your heart knows the way. Though it's hard to believe, we just let things go. All good things will come. Just let it flow. All good things will come. Let it flow. Whoa. Yeah, beautiful. Lovely. What beautiful harmonies. Wow, lovely. So hello again. Yeah, this is a familiar place. Wow. Feels like I'm coming home to family. Yeah, I am. That's right. I told you I'd be back, right? Some of you just said, oh, she'll never make it. But here I am, and thank you. Linda gave me such a wonderful introduction and sort of said that I was a blessing to everyone. Well, almost. Because, remember I told you that, I'm here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So some of you got a little uncomfortable, right? Yes. And that's okay. Being uncomfortable is absolutely okay. I did the Q process yesterday again for the third time here, and I'm so blessed to do that work. That's that deep transformative work, that's shadow work that brings up the light to tell the truth about us.
But one of the pictures we get to show is this yogi laying on a bed of nails. So are you willing to just be a little uncomfortable? So the transformation experience isn't always extremely comfortable, yes? That sometimes there has to be a little bit of a stirring and a little bit of unknowing and maybe a little bit of fear. There was a book by Susan Jeffers, I think, that said, feel the fear and do it anyway. Remember that? Yeah. It's still a great quote, you know. Many of us feel like that we're here to do something amazing and wonderful, and we sort of maybe even have that vision and go off and begin the journey, but we find ourselves in fear, and some of us go, well, that's just a sign right now I'm not ready. Not. Right? It's a sign you're letting your ego pretend that it's all about you. The little you, right? Not the big you. So you're on, in my definition, you're sort of in your shadow ideas that I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, you know, wait till I get the next degree, or wait until I graduate from this, or I've taken this course, or I get that most perfect prayer delivered from the angels. Then I'll become the person I'm supposed to be. So we have to begin right where we are with what we have, with God's vision inside of us. Knees knocking. Yes? Yes. I have. When I first started doing this work, I did not plan to be a public speaker. It was not in my agenda. You know, I was called to peace, and I loved that one-on-one work. But here was very challenging. So when I'm speaking, but that's the truth of our being, is that we're really here to be an expression of the divine. And we all have our unique gifts, and we've all been called to do something unique and wonderful. And but if you don't know what that is yet, let me give you a purpose. And that is just to be the presence of peace. Yes? Yes. Yeah. If there's probably not anything higher calling, really, if you were to look at being in the capacity of being peace in the midst of chaos, confusion, commotion, and whatever else we could name. It is the highest calling. It is the hardest thing we do. And so when I was with you, you might have heard me say that a lot, and I was speaking to the board, and you know what we want to be is a non-anxious presence. Because the energy of anxiety and fear and worry does not bring a sense of connection and truth and peace and harmony. It just brings more discord and more mistrust. So that's really sort of one beautiful purpose right there, is to be the presence of peace, to be a non-anxious presence. Yes? Yes? So you had your World Day of Prayer this week, and as we had all over the world, and we were peace in the midst. And I was sharing it with my husband, and I attend his church every now and then. I'm speaking all over the place usually, and so I was talking to him, and I participated there at the World Day of Prayer. But we were talking about something else, and I was just pretty upset about something. It doesn't really matter what, right? Who cares? So I was upset, and then I started talking about the being peace in the midst. And in my anxiety or in my confusion, I sort of said, piss in the mist. Excuse my language, but that's sort of what came out, and we just both started cracking up, because that's sort of what happens sometimes when we forget who we are, right? As we're just sort of the opposite of peace. And so I got to sort of witness my little shadow self sort of coming out in word, and so I quickly shifted the energy, and it was so much easier. As somebody mentioned that years ago, Maria Nemeth said, "Would it be okay if life got easier?" Yes, right? The answer is a big yes. Yeah, that it would really be okay if life got easier. And so that can be a mantra instead of it's always a challenge or there's so much to do. But I know that there's a lot happening in our personal world, but also in our global world and in our country. So it can be difficult to be peace in the midst of the chaos of the war. I know I read something, Chief Arvil, Looking Horse, talks about the one prayer and about uniting us all, that there is no one religion that is better than another. There is no one country that is greater than another. And there is no race that is greater than another. And although we know that, we sort of act disconnected, don't we? There's some sort of separation that we create. And so it is also up to us to sort of dissolve that separation. One of the things in Unity that we say a lot is that we're spiritual rather than religious. That, because we don't have any dogma or creed, and we sort of see ourselves as a much more positive approach to living. It feels more like a philosophy, and we gather truth teachings from all faiths. There's many paths, one God. So that feels right to me, and that was one of the reasons I was attracted, into Unity. So spirituality, I've never really defined it, or I've never really heard it defined, even in Unity as well as what I'd like to share with you. And this is through a Burmese diplomat, U Thant. He was the Secretary General of the United Nations back in the 60s. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Well, yeah, great. All you old people. Us, I should have said, excuse me. Anyway, he came up with this beautiful description of spirituality. He says, spirituality is a state of connectedness to life. It's an experience of being, of belonging, of caring. It is sensitivity and compassion, joy and hope. It is the harmony between the innermost life and the outer life, or the life of the world and the life of the universe. It is the supreme comprehension of life in time and space, a tuning of the inner person with the great mysteries and secrets that are all around us. Isn't that fabulous? Wow, if we could pin that up all over the churches and all over the Barts, Oh, it's Bart. Yeah, it's not Bart's. I know somebody was so embarrassed for me when I said that the first time. Bart. But it is true that, spirituality is really about a state of connectedness. It's not about right and wrong. It's about treating each other with dignity and respect and seeing our wholeness and our greatness in each other. And this World Day of Prayer was so beautiful because it taught us three things, hopefully: to pray peace, to be peace, and then to do peace. So we want to first start with prayer because we want to align ourselves with the mind of God. We want to align our thinking and our feeling energy with a divine presence before we begin to express. Yes? Yes. So the next step is to be that. So a being of peace is be the presence, be a non-anxious presence. And then the doing piece is to get out into the world and to demonstrate what that might look like. And what I also know, and I might have shared with you before, but I want to remind us of that there's a paradigm shift happening in our culture. And it's been happening for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. And this paradigm shift is a global vision, is a belief system that lives in our humanity. So the first paradigm is sort of these beliefs. I get to blame. You're doing something to me. I'm right, you're wrong. I win, you lose. I'm better or less than you. There's separation, judgment, conflict, misperception, and miscommunication. And in this field lives fear and mistrust. In this field lives competition, lack, scarcity, and mostly not enough. There's just not enough. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. There's not enough people. There's not enough resources. There's not enough knowing, right? It's infiltrated with the disease of not enough. And sometimes we live in that paradigm and that thinking because we sort of join the world. You know, we hear something on the news, or someone shares a story with us, or we have our own life experience that we begin to separate ourselves into our shadow thinking, and we join in that paradigm. Anybody done that before? Come on, help me out. Thank you. It's really terrible to be alone in the dark, right? So we do live there, but we are a conscious, evolving beings, and so we're moving into a new state of awareness, a new paradigm shift. And that feels more and sounds more like no one and nothing is against me. The entire universe is here to support me. I have a total acceptance of all that is. Everyone is for me. We are absolute potential in the realm of infinite possibilities. And what someone else thinks of me is none of my business. Yes? Yes. And in that field lives a sense of connection, of trust, of communion, of faith, non-resistance, of generosity, wholeness, and a sufficiency. Ooh, that feels better, doesn't it? We sort of moved over. I'm so grateful. So sometimes you just have to, right, slide over into that other world, that other realm that is connected to all that is. And so I came upon this great story that some of you know, but I want to share with you again. It's taught by a great Aikido teacher, Terry Dobson, who actually lived in this area. Thank you, Sherry, shared with me. And he tells this great story about this train ride that he was on. And he was a sort of a young Aikido student, young being maybe 7-8 years into the practice. And he was practicing, 8 hours a day, so he was practicing a lot. And there was this belligerent, drunk, large, aggressive man on the train, and he was causing a lot of commotion and a lot of upset. He was vulgar, and he was pushing people, and he happened to push a pregnant woman into an elder couple, and so there was a lot of fear going on. And so Terry was having these thoughts of, I need to take this guy out, I need to use all the Aikido I know, because we need to make a safe place here, that the people in this train are in harm's way. So if he does one more thing, this is his mind now. So he's sort of getting ready, and nothing's happening, the drunk is sort of just still there, and he's sort of wanting to agitate him a little. So he sort of looks over, gives him one of those smirks and a kiss, you know. And so the drunk becomes enraged and starts, you know, after Terry. And in that moment, this small, young Asian elderly man in the back says, hey, come here. Come talk to me. And so the drunkard is sort of taken back, and he sort of stammers over to this old man who's trying to get his attention. And he says, so how you doing? Tell me what's going on. What are you drinking? And the drunk is like, I'm drinking sake, but it's none of your business, and starts spitting and, you know, being belligerent. And the elderly man just says, wow, sake. Oh, I love sake. My wife and I in the evening, we warm up the sake and we sit under the peach tree and we talk about our family and how we get together. And the peach tree was planted by my great-great-grandfather. And it's such a warm and loving experience. I'm imagining that you have a lovely wife as well. And he says, no, I don't have no wife. And I don't have no home. And I don't have any job. And he begins to sob. And he says, I'm so ashamed. And tears begin to stream down his face. And he lays across this old, small man and lays his head on his lap. And the man just strokes his hair. And he says, tell me more. Tell me what happened. Whew. Hearts are open, yes? As they were on that train. And there's Terry Dobson just waiting, you know, to take after this man. And just so humbled by the generosity of spirit that he just witnessed. The capacity of one person to have so much compassion, to call forth the good and the great. We just never know what's going on with somebody, right? We don't understand what's happening underneath that behavior. As I said, I did the Q process yesterday, and we remind ourselves that we have a shadow card and we have a divine card. Two qualities. And if we have one, that means everyone has one. Yes? Yeah. So what if we were to look at those that are really acting out, not as evil or wrongdoers, but maybe they just have forgotten who they are? Yes? Yeah. They took a wrong turn. They attached themselves to the wrong idea. During this recent Charlottesville experience, that was very difficult for all of us to witness that level of violence. There was a man, Christian Piccolini, who was interviewed through Here and Now, and he was a former skinhead and co-founder of Life After Hate. It's an organization that rehabilitates former neo-Nazis and right-wing extremists. And he says, there's never been anybody in the history of the world who's changed their racist views by being punched. But don't we want to? Yeah. It's the easiest thing we can do. When I was a young girl, 8 or 10 years old, I sort of was a tomboy. You might not know that about me. And I came with a family of 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, and I noticed that when we divided the chores, there was daily chores for the girls and weekly chores for the boys. And I sort of noticed some other inequalities throughout my life, and I sort of thought, I think it'd be more fun to be a boy. So I sort of began to align, with that idea. So I tell you that because at like 10 years old, I'm in my window and I'm seeing across the street my neighbor friend who's sitting on top of my little brother. And it looks to me like he's really hurting my little brother. And so what I did was I ran across the street, I pushed him off of my little brother and beat him up. That's sort of what my instinct was to do. And of course, my father thought that was the greatest thing ever. And to his dying day, would love to tell that story, you know. But what I discovered, although it sort of felt good, and I was sort of like this Terry Dobson, I felt this righteous, you know, call to make a wrong, make him wrong and punish him and hurt him and blah, 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 blah. It never felt good to me. That I noticed that if I engaged in that way, that I was diminished in some way. That who I was didn't feel like I'd really done justice. And that's what I love about that, you know, coming together in the spirit of spirituality, is that there's a mutuality there. And so I know that I'm here to be the presence of peace and to teach peace and nonviolence. And as the Aikidoist does, that really the idea or option of the Aikidoist is to harmonize with it and redirect it in such a way that the resolution is beneficial to all parties. So the activity of Aikido and the relationship of the attacker and the receiver, that there is a co-creation at play. There is opponents essentially becoming partners. That they use the force, use the energy in non-resistance, and it moves them both to a better place. Yes? So that's where we want to go. And that's where Gandhi and King did in their ideas about peace and nonviolence, is they were always getting their enemies or opponents or those that felt against them to be supporters of them by respect and compassion, not through violence. So just by this way of seeing the other and silently asking them to set their energy down, this is what the Aikido master did on the train, you know, as he invited everyone who wanted to go to battle to just be still. Be still and know that something greater is at play when we don't allow that first response of violence to engage. The Q process uncovers our own shadow thoughts, and those shadow thoughts sometimes are lurking beneath our conscious minds. And so in Unity, we've been very good at shining the light, looking at the light and loving the divinity that we see. We haven't been so good at looking at the dark. So we're shifting that, and especially it's important as we want to become more active in the world, to be socially active, that we first need to clean our own house. Yes? Yeah. That we have to be really clear about our own shadow thinking, our own resistance to life. We have to become peacemakers. And I found this great definition of a peacemaker through a liturgy for ordinary radicals. Don't you love that title? A liturgy for ordinary radicals. Well, this group of clergy came together to define peacemaking that I just really love. And it says, peacemaking doesn't mean passivity. It's the act of interrupting injustice without mirroring injustice. The act of disarming evil without destroying the evildoer. The act of finding a third way that is neither fight nor flight, but the careful, arduous way of reconciliation and justice. It's about revolution of love that's big enough to set both the oppressor and the oppressors free. Peacemaking is about being able to recognize in the face of the oppressed our own faces, and in the hands of the oppressor, our own hands. Peacemaking, like most beautiful things, begins small. Yes? So that's what I believe we've been all called to be as a peacemaker, is to be the presence of peace. And in this Holy Week for Unity, where we come together globally in prayer to be peace in the midst, is to demonstrate that, however that is for us, to be that in the world, to pray peace, to be peace, and to do peace. Let's pray. Beloved presence, we give thanks for these truths that set us free. We give thanks for each soul that is here today to unite in love and peace and unity. That we trust that that infinite grace, that infinite spirit of life is breathing through us, and that what we are here to do, we've been given all the tools we need to be that here on earth. To be the Christ of God, to be the one, to bring heaven to earth, to be the one, to be peace here and now. Thank you for that realization. We are grateful and we are ready. And for that we say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. God bless you. Thank you so much for having me back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So do we want Reverend Denise to come back again later? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's so good to see you guys all here on such a beautiful Sunday. Wow. And you know about the authors out there. There's going to be a light lunch, and then there's great authors. And D'Avalon, Alexandra D'Avalon's out there with her new book. So please spend some time out on the patio and think about coming to the author thing this afternoon. Whew. Our prayer chaplains are here today to give you the very special blessing of personal prayer if you choose. They're the ones that'll have the lavender stoles on, and you can just walk up to one of them and ask them to pray with you, and they would be so delighted to do that. Oh, thank you, Annie. You know, sometimes these things are a little bit scary, and you don't want to get too close to them because it sounds funny, and don't want to get too far away. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now it's time for our prosperity celebration. So I encourage you to take your tithes and your love offerings as we open our hearts to the consciousness of giving and align with the universal law of circulation, which is, as we give, so shall we receive. And in truth, there is no lack or limitation because abundance is absolutely our true nature already. There are a variety of ways that you can give to Unity of Walnut Creek. For credit card donations, you can use PushPay on your smartphone or take one of those yellow envelopes in the seat back in front of you if you'd like to use a credit card. Now, we've got something new. We are now starting to need that code on the back of your credit cards, that CVC code. So if you do a credit card donation, please make sure that you include that. And also for those that you give regularly through your credit card, please see Shonda out in the bookstore, because now we need that code to process your normal giving that you do on credit cards, please. And those of you at home can use the PushPay or click on the donate button of Watch Live. So I encourage you to take your tithes and your offering, and if you're sharing it with somebody, it's great to hold hands, and let's pray our blessing together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you. Our ushers come forward in a moment, and another.
Destination in mind. Cruising Interstate 10. I'm looking at my life, where I have been. Moving into the flow. Gonna follow my heart wherever it goes. And this road's lined with nothing but tumbleweeds. Time for a change of scenery. What lies ahead remains a mystery. Still I'm driving to better news. Driving my way through these blues. For 2 days, Interstate 5, I'm starting to feel I'm coming alive. Heading north of the south, feeling so free, like I busted out. And this road, it stretches in front of me. A road of possibilities. What lies ahead must be what's meant to be. 'Cause I'm driving to better news. Driving my way through these blues. Take it away, Brian.
Okay, another rockin' day at Unity. You guys all be here for Saturday night, right? Taco del Sol, and we will dance to the music, okay? Okay, let's come forward and bless our offering. As we bless this offering, we bless the giver and the receiver, that we may go forth and multiply and increase the good in our lives and in the lives of all that we touch. And our blessing together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. Thank you. And now let's have our children come up.
We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God.
Wow, it's so great to see our kids grow up in the community of love and acceptance and knowing that they're loved and important. So please join me as we say a blessing for our teachers and our young people. Together, youth and teachers, you are loved, special, and important. The light of God shines through you. Thank you. And now, our peace song. No, we do the other one first, don't we? Prayer of protection. I knew it. Okay. Okay, so join hands and let's say our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now our peace song. You are the light, the love, and the joy and peace on the earth right now. So let your light shine and have fun.